Welcome to the National WWII Museum's World War II High School Quiz Bowl here in our beautiful U.S. Freedom Pavilion, the Boeing Center. My name's Pete Crane, and I'm the museum's Vice President of Education and Access, and I'll be your quiz master today. The top two teams from today's preliminary event will advance to a championship round on Thursday, March 10th, which will be recorded and aired across the regional Cox YourView channels. So let's meet the teams. We have Catholic High School from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the Allies. We have Holy Cross School from New Orleans, the Flying Tigers. From STEM Magnet Academy of Pointe-Coupee from Morganza, Louisiana, BB63. Also from the STEM Magnet Academy of Pointe-Coupee from Morganza, Louisiana, the B-17s. From North Shore High and from Slidell, Louisiana, the North Shore Panzers. And from the Academy of the Sacred Heart in New Orleans, Louisiana, the Majors. Okay, so if now everyone is ready, let's start the 2022 World War II High School Quiz Bowl. Here are the rules. We'll have 6 rounds of 10 questions per round. The questions will be read and will appear on the screens. Each team is to fill out only one answer sheet, and every round will end with a teamwork challenge. The answer sheets will be tabulated after each round and the answers will be announced. If there's a tie between 2 or more teams, there will be a sudden death tiebreaker round. So let's see what the topics are for this year's World War II Quiz Bowl. We have infamy, Pearl Harbor 80. We have the war in Europe, followed by the home front. We have the war in the Pacific, Valentine's Day in World War II, and finally, World War II in the news. Round 1 is infamy, Pearl Harbor 80. The National World War II Museum is currently hosting a special exhibit commemorating the 80th anniversary of the attacks on Pearl Harbor in the museum's Joe W. and Dorothy D. Brown Foundation Special Exhibit Gallery. That will be on view through 26 June 2022. In this round, each question will relate to the attacks on Pearl Harbor and how they're remembered and memorialized. Okay, round 1, infamy, Pearl Harbor 80. Question number 1. In the Hawaiian language, this strategic island's name translates to the gathering place. Is it A, Hawaii, B, Maui, C, Oahu, or D, Lanai? Question number 2. What was the name of the first ship to anchor on Battleship Row at Naval Station Pearl Harbor in 1911? Was it A, the USS Arizona, B, the USS California, C, the USS Oklahoma, or D, the USS Enterprise? Okay, question number 3. Which is not true about the USS Arizona on December 7th, 1941? Which is not true? A, more than 35 sets of brothers were aboard the ship. B, the USS Arizona is one of 4 battleships that were sunk that day. C, there were 334 total survivors out of a crew of 1,177. Or D, the USS Arizona accounted for half of the total Marine casualties. Which one is not true? Question number 4. Under martial law, the population of Hawaii was subject to which of the following policies? Was it A, blackouts, B, curfews, C, censorship, or D, all of the above? Okay, question number 5. What was one of the goals for the Japanese Naval Operation K in March of 1942? Was it A, to bombard the American West Coast, B, disrupt salvage operations in Pearl Harbor, C, take control of the Panama Canal Zone, or D, rescue Japanese POWs? Okay, question number 6. Which U.S. government agency works to identify the remains of Pearl Harbor survivors? Is that the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency, DPAA? Is it B, the Joint Personal Effects Depot, or JPED? Is it C, the American Battle Monuments Commission, or ABMC? Or is it the Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA? On to question 7. Following the attacks on Pearl Harbor, how many members of the U.S. House of Representatives voted against going to war with Japan? And as a bonus point, for 1 bonus point each, name them. Question number 8. On which battleship did Dory Miller serve during the attacks on Pearl Harbor? Question 9. After fundraising for the construction of the Arizona Memorial stalled, which American musician volunteered to perform a benefit concert to help raise additional funds in March of 1961? Was that A, Johnny Cash, B, Chuck Berry, C, Elvis Presley, or D, Sam Cooke? And for our final question of this round, how many Japanese aircraft carriers took part in the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941? And for an added bonus point, name the flagship of the Japanese fleet during the attacks. Okay, great job on that one, in that first round. You are now being given the first of 6 teamwork challenges. Please leave them face down until told to turn them over. Your first teamwork challenge is going to be Morse code. We're handing out a message written in Morse code, and we've provided you with a few of the letters and the Morse code signal key. We're going to give you 2 minutes to decode the rest. When I say go, your team members will turn over your piece of paper to begin. So timer, are we ready? And turn your papers over and go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time is up. Please put your pencils down. Well, we just finished the first round, and as the scores are being tallied, let's go over the questions from the first round. So, for question number 1 in the first round, I think we have all the sheets up. In the Hawaiian language, this strategic island's name translates to the gathering place. That answer would be C, Oahu. Oahu is the gathering place. For question number 2, what was the name of the first ship to anchor on Battleship Row at Naval Station Pearl Harbor in 1911? That would be B, the USS California. Question number 3, which is not true about the USS Arizona on December 7th, 1941? The answer would be D, the USS Arizona accounted for half of the total Marine casualties. That one is not true. Question number 4. Following the attacks on Pearl Harbor, the territory of Hawaii was placed under martial law. Under martial law, the population of Hawaii was subject to which of the following policies? They were subject to blackouts, curfews, and censorship, so the answer is D, all of the above. Question number 5. What was one of the goals of Japanese Naval Operation K in March 1942? That answer would be B, to disrupt the salvage operations in Pearl Harbor. Question number 6. Which U.S. government agency works to identify remains of Pearl Harbor survivors? Actually, they work to identify all of the remains for all U.S. military, regardless of any war. That would be the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency, or DPAA. Question number 7. Following the attacks on Pearl Harbor, how many members of the U.S. House of Representatives voted against going to war with Japan? That answer is 1, Jeanette Rankin, who also had the misfortune of having to vote against World War I, so she was a little unlucky that day. Question number 8. Dory Miller became a national hero for manning an anti-aircraft machine gun during the attack on Pearl Harbor, even though because of his race he was restricted to serving as a ship's cook or steward. On which battleship did Dory Miller serve during the attack on Pearl Harbor? It was the USS West Virginia. Question 9. After fundraising for the construction of the Arizona Memorial stalled, which American musician volunteered to perform a benefit concert to help raise additional funds in March of 1961? And that would be C, Elvis Presley. And question number 10, how many Japanese aircraft carriers took part in the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941? That would be 6 aircraft carriers. And for the bonus point, the flagship of the Japanese fleet during the attacks was the Akagi. So round number 2 is the war in Europe. These questions will concern the war in Europe, North Africa, and the Mediterranean. Question number 1. Which is not the name of a World War II German defensive line in Italy? A, the Winter Line, B, the Gothic Line, C, the Gustav Line, or D, the AA Line? Question number 2. What animal was chosen as the divisional insignia for the 92nd Infantry Division in reference to the nickname given to the African-American cavalrymen in the 19th century? Question number 3. By the end of World War II, approximately 19.8 million of this 5-shot bolt-action internal magazine-fed military rifle had been produced. Name this mass-produced rifle that, in spite of its age, continues to see use in conflicts around the world up to the present day. Is that A, the M1 Garand? Is it B, the Mosin Nagant? C, the AK-47? Or D, the Lee Enfield No. 1? Question number 4. This female war correspondent was the only woman to land on Normandy on D-Day, June 6, 1944. She stowed away on a hospital ship and disguised herself as a stretcher bearer. Name this war correspondent and the third wife of Ernest Hemingway. Is it A, Martha Gellhorn? B, Margaret Burke White? C, Marjorie Collins? Or D, Marguerite Higgins Hall? Question number 5. Among the first units to enter Paris on the evening of August 24, 1944, was the 9th Company of the French 2nd Armored Division. The 9th Company was composed of exiled Republican and anarchist fighters from what European country? Was it A, Greece, B, Morocco, C, Spain, or D, Poland? Let's go to question number 6. January 20th, 2022 marked the 80th anniversary of this conference in which senior members of the SS and Nazi government met to outline the final solution to the Jewish question in Europe. Name this famous January 1942 conference held in a southwest Berlin suburb. Was it A, the Munich Conference, B, the Wannsee Conference, C, the Third International, or D, the Nuremberg Conference? Okay, question number 7. Match the countries with their D-Day beach assignments. The countries are the United States, Great Britain, and Canada. The beaches are Gold, Omaha, Sword, Juneau, and Utah. Match them up. Question number 8. 2 years after the end of World War II in Europe, almost 1 million Europeans still lived in DP camps. What does the DP in DP camps stand for? Question number 9. Who was the commander of the 2nd Corps during Operation Husky, the July 1943 invasion of Sicily? Was it A, George Patton, B, Mark Clark, C, Omar Bradley, or D, Jeffrey Keyes? Okay, for our final question of this round, fill in the blank to complete the motto of the African American 688th Central Postal Directory Battalion. Quote, no blank, low morale. Okay, it's time for our teamwork challenge, the minefield. You are being handed a piece of paper with the outline of a minefield on it. Please keep the paper face down. You're also being given a blindfold, which one team member will wear while the other members of the team attempt to guide them through the minefield. Choose one team member to wear the blindfold. Go ahead and put it on. You're on the honor system not to cheat by peeking, whoever has the blindfold. And when I say go, your team members will turn over the minefield and place your hand holding a pencil on the starting point. You will need to move the pencil forward in a continuous line without hitting any of the mines. Your teammates will guide you by giving you only verbal directions, so you can't move the pencil, or you can't touch the person with the pencil. If you traverse the minefield without hitting a mine, you will earn your team 1 extra point for this round. You'll have just 30 seconds. The timekeeper's ready. Team members, are you ready? Okay, and start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop. Pencils down. Scorers, go ahead and pick them up. While the scores are being tallied, we'll take a quick break. When we get back, we'll review the correct answers from round number 2.
They were ordinary people, just like you and me, who never expected to find themselves like this. But they found courage. They found grit, grace. They found strength in each other. And in their stories, we find strength within. The National WWII Museum. Find the extraordinary inside.
Explore the Southwest lifestyle, the culture, the music, the food, y más. Join hosts J.R. Cardenas and Vanessa Ramirez for a Southwest adventure on Su Vida. Travel the state, enjoy the food, discover new artists, and fun things to do. Every week, JR and Vanessa share their discoveries with you.
Watch Su Vida Sunday and Monday night only on YourView and YourView.com.
Welcome back to the National WWII Museum. We just finished the second round of the 2022 World War II High School Quiz Bowl. So let's review the answers from round number 2. Round number 2 was the war in Europe. So question 1, which is not the name of a World War II German defensive line in Italy? That would be the AA line. All of the others were German defensive lines. Question number 2. The 92nd Infantry Division was an African-American infantry division of the United States Army that served in both World War I and World War II. What animal was chosen as the divisional insignia for the 92nd Infantry Division in reference to the nickname given to African-American cavalrymen in the 19th century? That was the buffalo. The buffalo in reference to buffalo soldiers. Question number 3. By the end of World War II, approximately 19.8 million of this 5-shot bolt-action internal magazine-fed military rifle had been produced. Name the mass-produced rifle that, in spite of its age, continues to see use in conflicts around the world up to the present day. That would be B, the Mosin Nagant, the Russian weapon. Question number 4. Martha Gellhorn is the female war correspondent who was the only woman to land on Normandy on D-Day. She stowed away on a hospital ship and disguised herself as a stretcher bearer. She was also the third wife of Ernest Hemingway. That was A, Martha Gellhorn. 5. Among the first units to enter Paris on the evening of August 24, 1944, was the 9th Company of the French Armored Division. The 9th Company was composed of exiled Republican and anarchist fighters from what European country? That would be Spain. That was C, Spain. Question number 6. On January 20th, 2022, marked the 80th anniversary of the Wannsee Conference, B, the Wannsee Conference, in which senior members of the SS and the Nazi government met to outline what they called the final solution to the Jewish question in Europe. Question number 7. Match the countries to their D-Day beach assignments. The United States landed on Utah and Omaha beaches. Great Britain landed on Sword and Gold beaches, and the Canadians landed on Juno Beach. Question number 8. The DP in DP Camp stood for displaced persons. Displaced persons. There were over 1 million still at the end of the war. Question number 9. Who was the commander of the Second Corps during Operation Husky, the July 1943 invasion of Sicily? The Second Corps commander was C. Omar Bradley. And question number 10, the fill in the blank to complete the motto of the African American 688th Central Postal Directory Battalion was, quote, no mail, low morale. Leaving Europe behind, let's go ahead and head into round 3, the home front. Each of the questions in this round will be related to events and individuals on the American home front during World War II. Question number 1. This labor unionist and civil rights activist proposed a 50,000-man march on Washington, D.C. in June 1941 to protest racial discrimination in the American defense industries and the military. Name this labor unionist and civil rights activist. Was it Bayard Rustin? Was it A.J. Must? Was it A. Philip Randolph? Or was it D. Milton Webster? So A. Bayard Rustin, B. A.J. Must, C. A. Philip Randolph, or D. Milton Webster. Question number 2. During World War II, the U.S. government rationed or restricted the amounts of certain materials or goods that American citizens could consume. What was the last commodity to come off of official ration control in 1947? Was it A, gasoline, B, sugar, C, lead, or D, rubber? Question number 3. In the famous Saturday Evening Post cover illustration of Rosie the Riveter by Norman Rockwell, what book is Rosie stepping on in her brown penny loafers? Spelling counts, by the way. Okay, question number 4. What's the name of the series of 7 documentary films produced by the U.S. Department of War designed to help Americans understand why the United States was involved in the war? Was it A, The World at War, B, Combat America, C, In Our Time, or D, Why We Fight? Question number 5. All of the following popular songs were written during World War II except one. Name the song that does not belong. A, Praise the Lord and Pass the Ammunition. B, So Long Mama, I'm Off to Yokohama. C, Accentuate the Positive. Or D, Over There. Question number 6. One of the most popular and memorable weekly radio shows of World War II was The Pepsodent Show, starring Bob Hope. What was Pepsodent? Was it A, an antacid, B, toothpaste, C, chewing gum, or D, a vitamin? Question number 7. During World War II, racial prejudice and fear-mongering led to the forcible removal of around 120,000 Japanese American and people of Japanese descent from the American West Coast to one of 10 isolated incarceration centers deep in the American interior. When did the last of the Japanese American incarceration centers close? Was it A, in 1944, B, in 1945, C, 1946, or D, 1948? Question number 8. Franklin Roosevelt had a total of 3 vice presidents to serve him during his unprecedented 4-term presidency. Name Roosevelt's second vice president seen here. Question number 9. Though referred to collectively as Higgins boats, the New Orleans-built vessel pictured here is officially known as an LCVP. What does the acronym LCVP stand for? Okay, and now for the last question of this round. Place the following events in chronological order that they occurred from earliest to the latest. A, the Selective Training and Service Act of 1940. B, the Neutrality Acts passed. C, Executive Order 9066 issued. And D, the Japanese attacks on Pearl Harbor. The order from the earliest to the latest. Okay, so we've now completed round 3. So we'll go to the Teamwork Challenge number 3. For this Teamwork Challenge, we're going to ask you to channel the we can do it spirit of the home front in the production line. Without production lines churning out war materials, the Allies could not have prevailed in World War II. Now it's your turn to form an efficient production line. You're being handed parts to make 10 widgets. Instructions for how to assemble them are included and will be shown on the next slide. You will have 90 seconds to fully assemble your 10 widgets. If you do, you'll earn your team an extra point for this round. If you don't, then your ships, planes, and tanks may very well fall apart on the battlefield, and that's a very bad thing. So, is everyone ready? Timekeeper, are you ready? And start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and put everything down, please. So with round 3 finished, let's review the answers to round number 3. Round number 3 was the home front. This labor unionist and civil rights activist proposed a 50,000-man march on Washington, D.C. in June 1941 to protest racial discrimination in the American defense industries and the military. The labor unionist and civil rights activist was C. A. Philip Randolph. A. Philip Randolph. Question number 2. During World War II, the U.S. government rationed or restricted amounts of certain materials or goods that American citizens could consume. The last commodity to come off of official ration control in 1947 was B. Sugar. Sugar was the last commodity to be rationed. Question number 3. In the famous Saturday Evening Post cover illustration of Rosie the Riveter by Norman Rockwell, the book that Rosie is stepping on in her brown penny loafers is Mein Kampf. Mein Kampf, that was Adolf Hitler's book, and it was spelled M-E-I-N-K-A-M-P-F, Mein Kampf. Question number 4. What's the name of the series of 7 documentary films produced by the U.S. Department of War designed to help Americans understand why the United States was involved in the war? This Academy Award-winning film was Why We Fight. Why We Fight. Question number 5. All of the following popular songs were written during World War II except Over There. That George M. Cohan song was written for World War I. Question number 6. One of the most popular and memorable weekly radio shows of World War II was the Pepsodent Show, starring Bob Hope. Pepsodent was B, a toothpaste. Still is. Question number 7. During World War II, racial prejudice and fear-mongering led to the forcible removal of around 120,000 Japanese Americans and people of Japanese descent from the American West Coast into one of 10 isolated incarceration centers deep in the American interior. The last Japanese American incarceration center to closed in 1946. C, 1946. Question number 8. Franklin Roosevelt's second vice president was Henry Wallace. This is Henry Wallace. Question number 9. The acronym LCV stands for Landing Craft Vehicle Personnel. Landing Craft Vehicle Personnel. And number 10, place the following events in chronological order that they occurred from earliest to the latest. They would be B, the Neutrality Acts being passed, A, the Selective Training and Service Act of 1940, D, the Japanese attacks on Pearl Harbor, and then C, Executive Order 9066 9066 was issued. So BADC. We're halfway through the competition, and the Allies from Catholic High are leading with 19 points. However, the Flying Tigers of Holy Cross and BB63 of STEM Magnet are both tied for second with 16 points each. So we're neck and neck in the top three here. There's plenty of points left and plenty of time left, so it's anyone's game. So we'll go ahead and head on into round 4 now. So round 4 is going to be the War in the Pacific. The questions in this round will all relate to the Pacific Theater of Operations during World War II. So is everyone ready to get started? Question number 1. More than a decade older than most Marines serving under him, World War II Marine Corps Fighter Ace and Medal of Honor recipient Gregory Boyington was better known by what nickname? Was it A, Grandpa, B, Pappy, C, Pop Pop, or D, Uncle Greg? Question number 2. Keeping with nicknames, which American general who served in the Pacific Theater was known as Skinny? Was it A, Jonathan Wainwright, B, Joseph Stilwell, C, Douglas MacArthur, or D, Claire Chennault? Question number 3. Choose which pair of words that are correctly spelled. Question number 4. The Greater East Asia Conference was an international summit held in Tokyo in November 1943, in which the Empire of Japan hosted leading politicians of various component members of the Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere. What state did Ba Ma represent? Was it A, the Kingdom of Thailand, B, the Provisional Government of Free India, C, the Empire of Manchukuo, or D, the State of Burma? Question number 5. The term ABCD encirclement was the Japanese name for a series of embargoes against it by foreign nations, which they viewed as an attempt to impede Japanese expansion. What does the ABCD in ABCD encirclement stand for? Question number 6. The Emperor Showa, more commonly known as Hirohito, ascended to the Japanese throne on December 25th, 1926. Though defeated in World War II, he remained on the throne as a figurehead before passing away in what decade? What decade? Question number 7. Which of the following was not an Allied naval or land-based operation in the Pacific Theater? Was it A, Operation Toenails, B, Operation Cornflakes, C, Operation Oboe, or D, Operation Good Time? Question number 8. Douglas Monroe was the only member of which military branch to receive the Medal of Honor in World War II? Question number 9. Which of the following Japanese aircraft carriers was not sunk during World War II? Was that A, the Kaga, B, the Shokaku, C, the Hoshu, or D, the Hiryu? Okay, and for our final question of this round, place the following events in the chronological order that they occurred from earliest to latest. A, the Bataan Death March, B, Japan invades Manchuria, C, the Battle of Leyte Gulf, and D, the U.S. invades Okinawa. Okay, so let's move on to Teamwork Challenge number 4. For this Teamwork Challenge, we're going to test your geography knowledge. It's called Where in the World? We're handing you a world map with 12 World War II locations listed and numbered. Match the locations to the numbers correctly and earn your team an extra point for this round. You'll have 1 minute for the challenge. When I say go, you'll turn over your map and fill in the locations. Don't leave locations blank. If you don't know one, make your best guess. Timer, you ready? Teams, are you ready? And go. pencils down. Our scorers will come around and pick them up. So as the scores are being tallied for round 4, let's go over our answers from round 4. So round 4 was the War in the Pacific. And more than a decade older than most of the Marines serving under him, World War II Marine Corps fighter ace and Medal of Honor recipient, Gregory Pappy Boyington was better known as B. Pappy. Question number 2. Keeping with nicknames, which American general served in the Pacific Theater was known as Skinny? That would be A. Skinny Jonathan Wainwright. Question number 3. Choose the pair of words that are spelled correctly. That would be B. Philippines Filipino. Question number 4. What state did Ba Maw represent in the Greater East Asia Conference? That would be D. The state of Burma. Question number 5. The ABCD encirclement, the ABCD stands for American, British, Chinese, and Dutch. American, British, Chinese, Dutch. Question number 6. Emperor Hirohito remained on the throne as a figurehead and passed away in the 1980s. Question number 7. Which of the following was not a naval allied or land-based operation in the Pacific Theater? And yes, these are all names of real World War II operations. Operation Toenails, Operation Oboe, Operation Good Time were all in the Pacific Theater. Operation Cornflakes was not. So the correct answer is B, Operation Cornflakes. Question number 8. Douglas Munro was the only member of the Coast Guard who received the Medal of Honor in World War II. It was the Coast Guard. Question number 9. Which of the following Imperial Japanese aircraft carriers was not sunk during World War II? That would be C, the Hoshu. And question number 10. Place the following events in the chronological order in which they occurred from earliest to latest. And that would be B, Japan invading Manchuria, A, the Bataan Death March, C, the Battle of Leyte Gulf, and D, the U.S. invades Okinawa. So B, A, C, D. So round number 5. Since Valentine's Day is only 2 days away, we thought this year we'd take a look at some important events that fell on or related to Valentine's Day for our 5th round. Valentine's Day and World War II. Question number 1. Which Allied nation produced more than 8,000 Valentine light infantry tanks? Was it A, Australia, B, the United Kingdom, C, France, or D, South Africa? Question number 2. In the action of February 14, 1944, British submarine HMS Tally-Ho sank the UIT-23, a submarine from which Axis Navy? Was it A, Japan, B, Bulgaria, C, Germany, or D, Romania? Question number 3. This famous vaudeville and radio star was born on February 14, 1894, as Benjamin Kubelski. What is Benjamin Kubelski's more famous stage name? Is it A, Bob Hope, B, Groucho Marx, C, Ben Kingsley, or D, Jack Benny? Question number 4. During World War II, which candy corporation, more known today for their sweet treats, produced the military chocolate D-Bar ration, packed with calories but tasting just a little better than a boiled potato? Which American candy corporation produced the D-Bar? Was it A, Hershey, B, Mars, C, Russell Stover's, or D, Godiva? Question number 5. A popular and patriotic form of jewelry created during World War II that, due to its rationing placed on materials during the war, was often crafted using alternate materials such as wood or early plastics. What was this style of jewelry called? Question number 6. On February 14, 1945, the British Royal Air Force and the United States Army Air Forces began the firebombing of which Eastern German city? Is it A, Danzig, B, Hamburg, C, Dresden, or D, Frankfurt? Question number 7. These on-screen sweethearts first appeared in a comic strip before being portrayed by Arthur Lake and Penny Singleton in more than 20 film comedies made by Columbia Pictures. Who are they? Question number 8. During World War II, what affectionate enclosure was referred to as the Scarlet Scourge by V-mail processors because it would gum up the V-mail processing machines? What was known as the Scarlet Scourge? Was it A, lipstick, B, bubblegum, C, perfume, or D, crayons? Question number 9. What type of plane is the True Love seen pictured here? Is it A, a B-24, an SBD Dauntless, B, SBD Dauntless, C, B-17, or D, a B-25? And final question. Who wrote the following in 1945 in her syndicated daily news column, My Day? This is St. Valentine's Day, so let us pay a tribute to love which springs eternally in the hearts of men. A salute today, all lovers who make the world more beautiful. Okay, it's time to move on to Teamwork Challenge number 5. Teamwork Challenge number 5 is tangrams. For this teamwork challenge, you'll have the opportunity to earn 1, 2, or 3 extra points for your team. Look at the screen. You're being shown 3 tangram figures that you can choose to make. Judges are distributing sets of tangram pieces for you to use during this challenge. You will have 60 seconds to complete the shape of your choice. Judges will come around and mark your score sheet with a 1, 2, or 3 if you have successfully completed your tangram. Timekeeper, you ready? Great. Teams, are you ready? Everybody's ready? Let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. So while our scorers are counting your points for this round, let's take a break and we'll go over the answers when we return.
They were ordinary people, just like you and me, who never expected to find themselves like this. But they found courage. They found grit, grace. They found strength in each other. And in their stories, we find strength within. The National WWII Museum. Find the extraordinary inside.
Looking for your next adventure? Join me, Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, and my friends from around the state as we uncover the latest things to do and see on Louisiana travel. Learn about our traditions, see where history happened, and so much more. Invite your friends and family back for a Louisiana homecoming. Come one, come y'all, and feed your soul every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Your View, Cox Channel 4.
Well, welcome back, everyone. Let's go ahead and review the answers from round 5. Question number 1, which Allied nation produced 8,000 of the Valentine light infantry tanks? That would be B, the United Kingdom. Question number 2, in the action of February 14th, 1944, the British submarine HMS Tally-Ho sank the WWII-23, a submarine from which Axis Navy? That would be C, Germany. It was a captured submarine that the Germans had captured. Question number 3. The famous vaudeville and radio star born on February 14, 1894 as Benjamin Kubelski was better known as D, Jack Benny. Jack Benny. Question number 4. During World War II, which American candy corporation, better known today for their sweet treats, produced the military chocolate D-Bar ration, packed with calories but tasting just a little better than a boiled potato? That candy corporation was Hershey. A, Hershey's. 5, a popular and patriotic form of jewelry created during World War II that, due to rationing placed on medals during the war, was often crafted using alternate materials such as wood or early plastics. This style of jewelry is called sweetheart jewelry. Sweetheart jewelry. Question number 6. On February 14, 1945, the British RAF and the United States Army Air Forces began firebombing Dresden. C, Dresden. Question 7 was, this on-screen couple first appeared in the comic strip before being portrayed by Arthur Lake and Penny Singleton in more than 20 film comedies made by Columbia Pictures. You can still see the cartoon in the newspaper today. Those are Blondie and Dagwood. Blondie and Dagwood Bumstead. Question number 8. During World War II, what affectionate enclosure was referred to as the Scarlet Scourge by V-mail processors because it would gum up the V-mail processing machines? What was known as the Scarlet Scourge? A, lipstick. Question number 9. What type of plane is the True Love? That would be a B-24, a B-24, same kind of aircraft you see back behind you. And question number 10. Who wrote the following in 1945 in her syndicated daily news column, My Day? Eleanor Roosevelt wrote My Day. First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. So this is it. Our final round in today's preliminary World War II High School Quiz Bowl contest. Round 6 is World War II in the news. Even though the events of World War II took place more than 75 years ago, many are still making the headlines and impact to this day. So round 6 will be World War II in the news. Okay, question number 1. As of February 2022, how many monarchs or heads of state who led nations during World War II are still living? Is it A, 1, B, 2, C, 3, or D, 0? Question number 2. In 2021, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops and the 3133rd Signal Service Company were awarded a Congressional Gold Medal for their service in World War II. By what nickname are the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops and the 3133rd Signal Service Company better known? What's their nickname? Question number 3. This 2021 best-selling book about the air war in the Pacific by author Malcolm Gladwell took its title from a derogatory nickname for a close-knit group of American military men. What was this derogatory nickname and the title of Gladwell's book? Was it A, the Sortie Syndicate, B, the Gas Gangsters, C, the Bomber Mafia, or D, the Five Families? Question number 4. What did 98-year-old World War II veteran Donald Huizenga, who served as a paratrooper in Europe, finally receive in January 22 after almost an 80-year wait? Was it A, a letter, B, his high school diploma, C, a lost engagement ring, or D, a Purple Heart? Question number 5. The Lamentation of Christ, an oil painting lost during World War II and one of over 500,000 works of art stolen by the Nazis during World War II, was restored and returned to the National Museum of Wrocław. In what country can you see the Lamentation of Christ at the National Museum in Wrocław? Question number 6. On the 80th anniversary of the attacks on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 2021, that fell on a Tuesday. In 1941, what day of the week did the December 7th attacks on Pearl Harbor occur? What day of the week in 1941? Question number 7. December 2021 also saw the 80th anniversary of the release of a classic Japanese samurai film by director Kenji Mizoguchi. What was the name of this 1941 Mizoguchi film? Was it A, The 47 Ronin, B, The Seven Samurai, C, Yojimbo, or D, Hell in the Pacific? Question number 8. World War II films remain very popular around the world, including in China. What was the name of the 2020 Chinese World War II movie depicting the 1937 defense of Shanghai that also was the second highest grossing film worldwide in 2020? Was it A, My People, My Homeland, B, Shockwave, C, Little Red Flower, or D, The 800? Question number 9. The 2021 documentary, The Sit-In, explores the 1 week in 1968 in which entertainer, activist, and World War II veteran Harry Belafonte took over The Tonight Show, alongside legendary guests like Aretha Franklin, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In what branch of the U.S. military did Harry Belafonte serve? And for our final question, the National World War II Museum in the city of New Orleans lost one of its great friends when World War II veteran Lawrence Brooks passed away at the age of 112 on January 5th of 2022. Who was President of the United States when Lawrence Brooks was born in 1909? Was it A, Woodrow Wilson, B, Howard Taft, C, Teddy Roosevelt, or D, William McKinley? Okay, so that concludes our questions, but we're off to our last teamwork challenge, the World War II word search. Judges are handing out a word search in which 15 World War II personalities are hidden. I'm going to give you 90 seconds to find and circle those personalities. That's a lot of time, but the stakes are high because you'll receive a half point for every name you find. So that's 7.5 potential points available. Could be a game changer. When I say go, turn your paper over and begin. Are we ready, timer? Teams, are you ready? Then go. Three, two, one, and pencils down, please. Great job, everyone. As the final scores are being tallied, let's go over the answers from round 6, World War II in the news. As of February 2022, how many monarchs or heads of state who led nations during World War II are still living? The answer to that is B, 2. There are 2 that are still living who were actually in power in World War II. Question number 2, in 2021, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops and the 3133rd Signal Service Company were awarded the Congressional Gold Medal for their service in World War II. By what nickname are the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops and the 3133rd Signal Service Company better known? They're known as the Ghost Army. Question number 3. This 2021 best-selling book about air war in the Pacific by author Malcolm Gladwell took its title from a derogatory nickname for a close-knit group of American military men. What was this derogatory nickname and the title of Gladwell's book? It was C, the Bomber Mafia. What did 98-year-old World War II veteran Donald Huizinga, who served as a paratrooper in Europe, finally receive in January 2022 after almost an 80-year wait? I know it seems like a long time for you guys, but his high school diploma, he waited a lot longer than any of you. Question number 5. The Lamentation of Christ, an oil painting lost during World War II and one of over 500,000 works of art stolen by the Nazis during World War II, was restored and returned to the National Museum in Wrocław, in what country can you see the Lamentation of Christ in the National Museum in Wrocław? That country would be Poland. Question number 6. On the 80th anniversary of the attacks on Pearl Harbor, December 7, 2021, fell on a Tuesday. In 1941, December 7th was on a Sunday. Question number 7. December 2021 also saw the 80th anniversary of the release of a classic Japanese samurai film. What was the name of this 1941 Mizoguchi film? That would be A, The 47 Ronin. The 47 Ronin. Question number 8. World War II films remained popular around the world, including in China. What was the name of the 2020 Chinese movie depicting the 1937 defense of Shanghai that also was the second highest grossing worldwide film that year? The answer is D, The 800. The 800, second highest grossing movie in the world in 2020. Question number 9. The 2021 documentary, The Sit-In, explores the 1 week in 1968 in which entertainer, activist, and World War II veteran Harry Belafonte took over The Tonight Show, alongside legendary guests like Aretha Franklin and the Dr. Martin Luther King. In what branch of the U.S. military did Harry Belafonte serve? He served in the Navy. Harry Belafonte was in the Navy. And number 10, the National World War II Museum in the city of New Orleans lost one of its great friends when World War II veteran Lawrence Brooks passed away at the age of 112 on January 5th, 2022. Who was President of the United States when Lawrence Brooks was born in 1909? That would be B, Howard Taft. Mr. Brooks lived to see both Roosevelts in the White House. So we'll take a moment and get our final results. Well, I have our results. Again, the top 2 teams from today's contest will meet on Thursday, March 10th to compete head-to-head in our championship round. The championship round will be filmed and broadcast on regional Cox YourView stations. Watch for more details on the times and tune in the coming days. Congratulations again to all of our competing teams, to coaches, the teachers, but our top 2 teams today advancing in a very, very tight competition are in second place. We have Holy Cross School, the Flying Tigers, with 36 points. Flying Tigers, come on up. Flying Tigers, come on up and get your trophy. And in first place, with 39.5 points, we have Catholic High, the Allies. Well done to those 2 teams and to all the teams today. Thanks to everyone for another great World War II High School Quiz Bowl from the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. On behalf of myself and everyone here at the museum, take care, and we'll see who takes home our championship trophy in just a few short weeks. Thank you for coming today.